Target right here!
Hello guys, it's Prajna. Welcome and welcome back to another Division 2 build video. So guys, I can't stress this enough, but Striker is an amazing gear set. And I know, those of you who've been following me for some time now have heard me say this multiple times, but I can't stress that enough. But if you need a strong build to get through higher difficulty endgame content, like, heroic open world farming or legendary strongholds, things like that, well then Striker would be a very good option, especially if you're a beginner. Because Striker, as many of you know, deals out incredible damage. So just imagine having a decent amount of armor regen on top of all of that heavy weapon damage, right? Now you have a greater amount of survivability. So, with that being said, in today's video, I'm going to showcase and break down 3 different armor regen Striker builds for you guys that work extremely well for PVE. And with the way these builds are set up, it really makes completing endgame content and legendary strongholds a much easier and enjoyable experience. Because there's a decent amount of survivability, so you won't have to deal with the frustration of being downed by NPCs as often, right? So anyways guys, slash the like button, and without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, with this first setup, I'm using the Ninjabike Messenger Exotic Backpack, and as many of you know, this backpack is great for squeezing in extra brand or gear set bonuses. So this basically allows for you to put together some pretty powerful hybrid builds. And so with this build, you'll be getting a decent amount of survivability, right? As well as nice damage and a great amount of armor regeneration as well. So this makes it a viable build to use for running solo, especially if you're running content on heroic difficulty. So for the primary weapon, I'm using the Lexington Assault Rifle, which was rewarded to veteran players a while back. I'm not sure if or when the devs will be bringing this back, but it's a really great weapon. However, if you're a beginner or just happen to not get this weapon, don't worry because there are plenty of great alternatives that I'll show you. But for the weapon talent, Killer works very well with Striker because with this talent, killing an enemy with a critical hit grants 70% critical hit damage for 10 seconds. So this is great because Striker doesn't provide any critical hit bonuses. After all, that would just make it overpowered, but using the Killer talent is a nice way to stack crits with Striker. But here are the weapon mods that I'm using with this weapon, in case anyone is curious, and you can pause the video if you need more time to look. Now, some great alternatives are the St. Elmo's Engine, Eagle Bearer, or the Strega. However, since these are all exotic weapons, the talents are already predetermined, so you will be missing out on that 70% critical hit damage bonus from the Killer talent, right? But that's not a problem because there are plenty of high-end assault rifle alternatives, such as the Carbine 7, Police M4, or even the F2000. And so what you can do is pick any of the weapons I just mentioned, or if you have another weapon that you much rather prefer using, that's fine, but just make sure you roll Killer on it, okay? Now for the mask, a Striker mask rolled with armor, critical hit damage, and a critical hit chance mod. And just like brand sets, you also get bonuses depending on how many pieces you have equipped. So since I have 4 pieces, I get the 15% weapon handling and rate of fire bonus, as well as the Striker's gamble talent, which is essentially what makes Striker so effective. So with this talent, weapon hits will increase your total weapon damage by 0.65%. And since this stacks up to 100 times, at full stacks, that's 65% increased weapon damage. However, the downside is that you will lose stacks per second between 0 to 50 stacks, and 2 stacks are lost per second from 50 to 100. But that shouldn't really matter because it's fairly easy building up Striker's gamble stacks, especially if you're using the ACS-12 shotgun. But even better is the rock and roll. And this is the named version, so it comes with a bigger mag. Now for the vest, a Golan gear piece with armor rolled for the core attribute, with armor regen and critical hit chance, rolled with the talent Obliterate. Obliterate is a great addition because it will add a nice 20% weapon damage at full stacks. Also, for the mod, I have protection from elites. I was using this build recently to clear a legendary stronghold, but although these protection from elite mods are very helpful for higher difficulty, they are optional. So if you're running heroic, you can just go with a critical hit chance or damage mod, depending on what you need, right? For the holster, a Bellstone holster with an armor core attribute and both an armor regen and critical hit chance attributes. Now for the knee pads, another striker piece with armor and critical hit chance, and for the gloves, the third striker piece with armor core and critical hit damage. And last but not least, for the backpack, a Ninjabike Messenger exotic bag. So I'm sure many of you already know how this exotic backpack works, but just briefly for those who are new, this backpack basically serves as a slot holder to fulfill a requirement towards unlocking a gear or brand set bonus. So, in other words, put simply, this bag basically serves as my fourth striker piece and both my second pieces of Golan and Bellstone, so it unlocks multiple set bonuses simultaneously. This is great because now I'm able to get the armor regen bonus from the Golan chest piece, as well as the 10% armor on kill bonus from the Bellstone piece. And for the skills, the Ballistic Crusader Shield and Reviver Hive. For those who have been watching my videos, it's no surprise that the Ballistic Shield is one of my favorite skills to use for PvE. It really helps with survivability and allows you to have cover protection while being mobile. Now for the global modifiers, I'm using the Tactical Supremacy for the active, which increases all equipped passive modifiers bonuses for a limited time, and I think it lasts for 15 seconds with a 1-minute cooldown. And for the passive modifiers, I am using Critical Recovery, and this basically restores 0.5% of your maximum armor by landing critical hits. And since I'm using the Ballistic Crusader Shield, I decided to use the Fortified Shield modifier, which increases your skill shield's base health by 100%. But if the Ballistic Shield isn't really your cup of tea, you can also use the Critical Momentum modifier. This works really well. And for the third, Reactive Reinforcement will grant 5% heals of your max armor when your shield takes damage, with a 10-second cooldown. And for the specialization, I'm using Gunner for the 10% armor on kill, stacking with the 10% bonus you get from the 2-piece Bellstone. But Survivalist is another option for the 10% protection from elites. Alrighty. Now this next setup is another great regen striker variation, but this one uses the Memento bag and striker vest. And as many of you already know, the Memento bag will basically be providing a short and long-term buff, ultimately increasing your weapon damage, skill efficiency, and armor regeneration. I made a similar build to this in the past, but this is actually a better version because it comes with more armor regen. But if you don't have the Memento bag, you can try this variation instead with a Cheska bag rolled with the Talent Companion. This is actually more of a beginner-friendly version, but it's still very much viable, so you can go with this. The Companion talent is great because it will increase your weapon damage by 15%. But in order for that to apply, you will need to be in the proximity of either a deployed skill or an ally. So this is why I'm using the Mender Seeker Mine on the Survivalist specialization, because it's going to activate the Companion talent. Plus you get that 10% protection from Elite's bonus. And if you need more survivability, remember that you can also add more protection from Elite mods, right? So this setup would be great for running a legendary stronghold or a master difficulty mission. But if you're just doing open world farming on heroic difficulty, you can go with Gunner and just use crit mods instead. But if you decide to go with Gunner, keep in mind you won't have the option to select the Mender Seeker Mine. So the Fixer Drone would be another great skill option to help unlock the Companion talent. Gunner is another great option because it provides a 10% armor on kill bonus, which helps a bit with survivability, right? Now for the global modifiers, same as the previous build, so Tax Supremacy for the active, then Critical Recovery, Fortified Shield, and Reactive Reinforcement for the passives. And just in case anyone's wondering, for the stats, 50% critical hit chance and 91% critical hit damage. The critical hit damage is low, but remember, with the killer talent, I get a bonus 70% for eliminating an enemy with a crit for 10 seconds, and every kill refreshes this so there is no cooldown. So you can basically keep that 70% bonus. Okay guys, this last variation is actually one of my personal favorites because it matches my playstyle. I have a bit of an aggressive playstyle, so I like to play with more armor. And I use armor kits quite often, plus it gets frustrating constantly going down on higher difficulty, especially if you're playing solo, right? So this Bellstone chest piece is another great option, because what it does is it provides a 1% armor regen bonus from the brand set, but what's even better is that it's the named Bellstone piece, the everyday carrier, and for those that didn't know, named gear pieces come with perfected talents. So this piece comes with the talent perfectly efficient. And this is the perfect talent for my playstyle because I like to use a lot of armor kits. And so how this talent works for those who don't know, when you use an armor kit, there's a 75% chance that that armor kit will get returned to you after you consume it. So this allows you to use additional armor kits, and this is nice because it actually worked out really well for me during the latest Master Difficulty mission. And I was actually able to complete it very easily. Another great thing about this talent is that you get even more survivability, because if you look here, you get a 100% specialization armor kit bonus, right? So in other words, you're going to get a nice bonus increase to the armor kit bonus of the weapon specialization that you're using, because every weapon specialization has an armor kit bonus. And I'm using Firewall for the extracellular matrix mesh talent, because this talent provides a nice armor kit bonus, so you get 200% armor and health recovery within a 10-second time span. So the perfectly efficient talent will increase this, which will only give you more survivability. Now for the global modifiers, same as the previous two builds. And again, you do have the option of just running critical hit mods instead of protection from elites and just switching to gunner, if you only plan on using this for challenging or heroic difficulty. But don't sleep on the Memento bag because it's truly a viable piece. It adds some great weapon damage and armor regen, plus it comes with all 3 major core attributes. This is Prajna. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope this video helped out, or at least gave you guys an idea for a setup of your own. And to all my channel members, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Your support has not gone unnoticed, and it really means the world to me. So keep a lookout for guide videos that will be exclusive to members only. As a token of my appreciation, members will now get exclusive content. These will include builds and expertise guides, as well as XP farming guides in much more detail, so welcome to the inner circle. This is my way of returning back the love. Anyways, guys, good luck farming, and please leave a like if you enjoyed this video and let me know your thoughts on these builds in the comment section. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and see you in the next video. Peace out.